Hare Krishna,
Can we
everybody.
can we say Guru Brahma?
Sure.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara. Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
Hare Krishna. So welcome everybody. This is Krishna Dasa. I welcome you all to today's session of the Bhakti Sutra. You remember the link to the questions? Can you please access that so that we can start going through the questions? You have the list of questions with you? Okay, so we can go from top to bottom, one by one. Simranji, you want to start?
Guruji, can you please explain the stage of Paravairagya?
Yeah, sure. So, Paravairagya means supreme detachment. So, in the context of the Bhakti Sutra, it is a state of complete non-attachment. And this is the state that enables a devotee to always have Ananya Chintan. So, you can have Ananya Chintan only if there is no other distraction.
Okay.
So, that is the state of Paravairagya. See, Naradji mentioned the 12 requirements for succeeding in Bhakti Yoga. We discussed previously.
Yeah.
One of them was Anartha Nivritti, if you recollect.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So that is basically removal of unwanted and distracting thoughts and desires.
Okay.
So this is required to reach the stage of Paravairagya. See, just like in Bhakti, we have two types of Bhakti we discussed at a very high level. One is Apara Bhakti and one is Para Bhakti.
Yeah.
Correct? Just like that, Vairagya is of two types. You have Apara Vairagya and you have Paravairagya. Okay. And Shri Krishna will also use the term Nirvedam to describe the state of Paravairagya in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatiti tarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam shrotavasya shrutasya cha. So there Krishna says when the intellect transcends the confusion and delusion, then you will attain dispassion for what is yet to be heard and what has been heard. In other words, you will have total dispassion, total disattachment. The thing to keep in mind is a person who is practicing Bhakti Yoga, initially they may have some kind of detachment because, everybody says in Bhakti Yoga, you have to practice detachment. So whenever we start on Bhakti Yoga, we all have some kind of detachment. We try to practice. That is Apara Vairagya. Because in this state, we can still get distracted. We can still get distracted by the material things. We can still get distracted by sensory objects. And we can still keep going back and forth. Now, as we progress on the path, then we gradually develop Paravairagya. This is the advanced stage of detachment. So in that kind of Vairagya, we are entirely absorbed in the divine and the divine love. And we have only one desire. The desire is to unite with the divine. And what Krishna is saying in the shloka we just read is that such a person is not even distracted by what is written in the Vedas, the flowery things in the Vedas. Even that doesn't distract them because they are so detached to everything. So that is Paravairagya. Hope that explains, Simranji.
Yes, thank you, Guruji. Like you told, we become butter from curd comes, then milk and then butter. Yes.
Yes. So
when you come back from butter. Yes. Yes.
When
Thank
you
you,
are,
Guruji.
When your mind has become butter, you are in Paravairagya.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. This is the next question. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, everyone. So, Guruji, my doubt is, if we are doing our spiritual practices and we completely avoid kusang, then how should we help and inspire them into spirituality and bhakti?
Hare Krishna, good question. Actually, a lot of people have this question about kusanga. Whenever any saint or any guru talks about kusanga, everybody has questions. It's a very practical question. See, avoiding kusanga or bad company, it has two aspects to it. So this is the most practical explanation I can give you. See, when we are ourselves trying to struggle on the path of spirituality, when we are ourselves still progressing, we are struggling on the path, we should try and avoid physical association with such people. Important, because we are ourselves in a very precarious situation. Now, however, once we make progress on the path, and when we go closer to stronger in Vairagya, closer to Paravairagya, that is when you can freely mingle with kusangis. People who are otherwise bad company, at that time you can freely mingle with them because it won't impact you, it won't affect you, because you have grown. You have become stronger. See, for example, when I'm sure all of you have taken a flight to many destinations. Now, in the plane, they make before the plane starts, they give you all these instructions on what to do if there is a danger or something. And they will always say that put your own oxygen mask first before trying to help others. Very important. If you are yourself choking and fainting, how can you help anybody? You have to have your oxygen mask on first. Then you help others. The same holds true for helping these kusangis. We have to first strengthen ourselves, prepare ourselves. And then we can try to help these kusangis and try and convert them to satsangis. Now, it is possible that sometimes we are not able to avoid physical company of such kusangis. Maybe it is because of your profession, or maybe it's because of family structure. It's not in your control. Then it becomes even more important that you are very regular with your spiritual practices. It becomes all the more important. Because constant remembrance of God and practicing Vairagya becomes very, very, very important. See, take the example of doctors. Now, an average doctor has to be surrounded by sick people. He can't help or she can't help it. That is their profession. So what do? People, because they know it is their profession, they take extra care of their own hygiene. These doctors usually will have sanitizers, and they will know how to disinfect things. So they take extra care of their own hygiene so that they don't get impacted by these illnesses of people around them. That is how they are able to. So, but we cannot look at a doctor and say, oh, that doctor is in the middle of so many people with sickness, nothing is happening to them, so I will also be in the middle. You will fall sick the next day. Because we don't have the kind of discipline and the kind of knowledge that the doctor has on how to avoid infections. You see? Just like that, if you are on the spiritual path and you are already feeling like you want to help people who are otherwise kusanga, that's a good thing. But keep in mind that you have to first prepare yourself, become strong, and then try to enter into this business of let me help others. I hope that makes sense. And if you cannot avoid kusanga physically, then it is all the more important that you are constantly chanting the name, God's name. It is more important for you. That is probably God's way of telling you that you should get on the fast track to spiritual development. I hope that answers your question, Kalpana ji. Excellent. Okay. Which is the next question? I think that is from Tanuja. Tanuja ji, you have the question with you?
Question came up first. Guruji, in this fast-moving world and with cutthroat competition everywhere, we knowingly, unknowingly interact with a lot of selfish and negative people and see them flourishing in spite of their ill-gotten ways and intentions. And on the other hand, people on the spiritual path with good intentions, without pride, ego, suffer year after year. How does one deal with such a situation?
Intense. Yeah, sure. I'll give a slightly long answer for this.
Okay.
Yes, dealing with negative and selfish people while staying on the spiritual path, definitely it's difficult. It can be challenging. There are a few things we can do to help us maintain our focus and peace of mind. See, the key to keep in mind, I'll give a very, very crude example. Let us say that you are walking and the road in which you are walking has a lot of small pebbles and sharp objects. It's hurting your leg. Now, there are two ways to look at it. One, you can say, I'm going to go change the road. Maybe I'm going to cover the whole road with a bed of roses. The other, you can say, I'm going to cover my own leg so that these pieces of stone don't impact me. So what I'm trying to say is, we have to first see what we can do differently, because we cannot change the world. We cannot change the people in them. So what are the things we can do? First, practice Vairagya. Again, that is the number one. Detachment. Detaching emotionally from negative and selfish people. What does that mean? It means instead of reacting to their negativity, let us try to observe their behavior. Observe without judgment. Just observe. And observe your own self. If you see any negative emotions getting into you, you have to catch it and throw it out. Very important. See, you remember Lord Krishna's teachings? Whatever has to come in has to go out. So, if we let the negativity come in, we have to catch it and first get it out. That is something we have to do consciously. That is detachment. Second, you stay true to your own values. You should have your values. Stay true to them. Continue to live your life based on your values. That is what Krishna says. Stay on the path of dharma. You stay on the path of dharma. Doesn't matter what the other person is doing. Because many times it happens. We see that people all around us looks like they are dishonest, they are lying, they are cheating, they are not on the dharmic path. But sometimes it may tempt us to, why don't I also do that? That is a test. We shouldn't give in. We have to stick to our own values. Okay, the point is, in the short term, it may look like people who are not aligned with dharma are succeeding, but in the long term, in the grand scheme of things, it is always alignment with dharma that is what is going to give us the true success. The third aspect is surrounding yourself with positive influencers. Seek the company. Because there will always be some people who are inspiring, who will uplift you. There will always be some people who are positive. Consciously go and seek their company. It is one of the best ways to offset all this negativity that we are surrounded by. And a very important thing which I would like to say is practice compassion. And now, this is a very deep statement. There is nothing personal. I'm trying to convey the teachings of some teachers here. See, it's very easy to become judgmental and condemning these negative people or these adharmic people. It's a very natural tendency, we all do that. We judge people. We say, oh, he is dishonest. That person is untruthful. That person is a cheat. But when we practice compassion, we will try to see this in a different light. Now, we have to remember one thing. Everyone has their own journey. And everyone is struggling in their own ways. We don't know. We can't see. Just because it looks like somebody is very successful doesn't mean they don't have any struggles. We just don't see it. A classic example, the owner of Cafe Day in India. Everybody will say that, that's a dream life. That person's assets were like thousands of crores of rupees in assets. That person was married to a chief minister's daughter. That person looked good. Person was healthy. What can you ask from life? Health, wealth, power, everything is there. So from an outside, we will say, that's a success, pinnacle of success. And that person goes and commits suicide.
Yeah.
So we don't know. The point is, practice compassion and try not to be judgmental. That is what is required for our spiritual growth. We have to always remember that spiritual progress is not easy. And the challenges we encounter we have to look at it as opportunities for growth. This is something which I say as a teacher, probably one of the most important lessons that I can impart to all of you is when you are on the path of spirituality, when you find a difficult situation, when you find difficult people in your life, instead of saying, why me? You should say, how can I utilize this opportunity to purify myself further and grow faster? Because that is the role of these people in your life. That is the role of these situations in your life. No, as they say, a gold cannot become gold until it is beaten, it is put in fire. If the gold keeps saying, why me? Why all this fire for me? Why there is no fire, for that other piece of stone? Because that is going to remain a piece of stone. You are going to become a piece of gold. So that is how you have to look at these difficult situations and difficult people in your life. As I'm saying, this compassion is so important, because it's a very, very important concept. Krishna has said this in the Bhagavad Gita. This is what helps. So you have to be compassionate and you have to be strong. And you have to be aligned with Dharma. And you have to not have pride and surrender to God. These all combined make you such a powerful personality. You become a magnet for spiritual growth. That is what helps you become truly non-violent. Non-violence is not just non-violence of, I'm not beating somebody, that is not non-violence. Do you think negatively about somebody? Do you feel like, I wish this guy would fall or I wish this guy would fail? That is also non-violence. And if you have to avoid it, how can you avoid it? It's not just by suppressing the thoughts. It is by cultivating these qualities of compassion, non-judgmental behavior, and all of that. So, Tanujaji, I know it was a slightly long answer.
Thank you for this. Yeah, I feel even showing compassion to some such people, it is very, somewhere you're being taken for granted, is what I feel.
I mean, it's a journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey. And as I said, compassion, you don't have to make a show of compassion. The compassion is in your heart. If I tell you something and you don't listen to me, I can immediately react and I can say, oh, Tanuja is just disrespectful. Or, Tanuja just doesn't want to listen to me, or Tanuja doesn't care. There are a million things I can think. Or I can think, Tanuja probably has some problems of her own. She may be struggling in her own ways. That compassion makes me stronger. And that makes me more eligible for spiritual growth. And that is what Krishna is saying. So I think I discussed this with you 2 years ago when we were talking about Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, you remember? Yeah. I hope this helps, Tanujaji. Yes, it's a journey. There is no quick fix, but hopefully this will help you. Thank you. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Which is the next one? Is the next one from Sulataji?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
What is the initiation process? Is it a mandatory process, or can we just imbibe Guru's teachings and internalize it?
Hare Krishna. Some institutions have made this word very popular in the past few decades. Initiation is a formal process according to many of these institutions, where basically a spiritual teacher or a guru will formally accept you. They will enter into a diary, or these days they will enter into a computer system and say that, okay, so-and-so has been formally accepted by so-and-so. That is all there is. And some institutions make it mandatory to have a formal initiation. If you have to be considered an official devotee, then you have to be initiated. That is how some of these, some organizations, they do it this way. I'm aware of that. It's not a mandatory process if your goal is to grow on the spiritual path. If the goal is, I want to grow on the spiritual path, I want to have God realization, then this initiation is not at all mandatory. It's a very voluntary thing, and it is more of a, I mean, in olden days, we did have this procedure. We did have a way where a guru has to say, I accept a student. And that was more symbolic. But these days, it's, I mean, I'm not being derogatory to anybody, but this is a fact. I mean, there are a lot of very popular organizations going on, and they make it more like a club membership. So you can proudly show off that I am initiated. But that is not the whole goal. So Sri Krishna himself has said that initiation is not required for succeeding on the spiritual path. What has Krishna said? He only says what is important is you approach a guru with humility and serve the guru in order to receive spiritual knowledge. That is Krishna's message. In the entire Bhagavad Gita, the word initiation doesn't come. That is the funny part. So if you look at the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna had said, this is one of the famous shlokas that we had discussed. Tad viddhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. That was the shloka. Upadekshayanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Seek spiritual knowledge by approaching a spiritual teacher. That is what Krishna says. Humbly inquire from them and offer your service. Such a teacher can bestow knowledge upon you because they have understood the truth. So in general, if a guru accepts you as a student, then that is initiation already. That is what initiation is all about. Everything else is kind of fluff which has been built by many organizations in this world. What is required is you approach a guru and the guru has to accept you from the heart and say that, okay, I accept you as a student. If that happens, the initiation has already happened. That is what is required. I hope that answers your question, Sulata ji. If you had any other questions, feel free.
Just had one question about this aversion. Like when we say we shouldn't have attachment and aversion also. So aversion means not just aversion is yeah, I understand, as you said, it's running away from the thought. But when we say we shouldn't have aversion also, that doesn't mean that we should give in, isn't it? Like in the sense, for taking an example of attending a party, like always your friends invite you for parties or anything. So you are just trying to avoid that thing. So does that mean, like, when we say we shouldn't have aversion also, so it doesn't mean that you go and attend the party and just be in your conscious mind that you will not be affected. Aversion means that you shouldn't have that thought of refraining from going that party. Rather, you shouldn't run away from that thought. Rather, replace it or substitute it with the thought of God, isn't it? Does that mean that?
Correct. So, take any object. When you say, I love that thing, I cannot live without it, that is attachment. When you say, I hate that thing, I cannot stand it, that is aversion. So, in other words, if one day you are forced, if one day somehow, maybe it is something you cannot avoid and you are dropped into a party, and if you are miserable, that is aversion. So, all Krishna is saying is, don't run in either direction. Be Sitapragya. And yeah, prioritize what is right and what is the right use of your time. And yeah, avoid it by all means. Avoid things that don't serve your ultimate purpose by all means, but don't get miserable if you are forced into such a situation. That is what is meant by avoid aversion.
Thank
you. Welcome. The next one was Deepaji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Guruji.
Hare Krishna.
While I understand the importance of Guru as a spiritual, on a spiritual journey of liberation, do we need to have a Guru our entire life? I mean, there's a follow-on question to it is, this is a finite life, this journey will come to an end at some point of time and we're still not there. So, I mean, both one after the other, like an expansion of the same question.
The relationship with a guru is a lifetime affair. I mean, if it is a selfless relationship, it is supposed to be a lifetime affair. So it's a big commitment for the guru also. They also have to spend a lot of mental and physical bandwidth, but it's a choice they make. So it's like a lifetime. It's not like a corporate relationship that will change when the company changes or that will change when your team changes. So yes, the association and grace of a guru is required until you reach your goal of God realization, because this is what Naradji also said in one of the previous lokas. He said that you need the Guru's grace. If you have it, then you just need a tiny bit of God's grace to complete the equation and you get the grace. And to the other question, yes, life is short, and that in fact is something that has to give us that purpose, that sense of urgency that we need to do however much we can in this life. But the good news is what Krishna said. The spiritual progress that you make is never lost. So in the next life, you will start from where you left. So definitely find a good guru and stay with that guru for your whole life. I think the next question also is yours, Deepaji. How does the guru?
How does a guru keep themselves motivated as they are themselves on the spiritual journey?
Nice. Yeah. See, the guru stays motivated through conviction and compassion. And so whatever I told Tanujaji, that is something the guru has to practice. Compassion. It's not easy. The guru's job is very difficult. Just like you see these professors in colleges. In most movies, they make fun of professors, but the job of a professor is so tough. When you're standing in front of 100 students, you make even one tiny mistake that becomes a big issue. But the students have the freedom to make as many mistakes as they want. Now, so the guru's job is very difficult. And the guru has to practice compassion. The guru cannot say, hey, when you make mistake, it's okay. When I make mistake, why are you? So he cannot get into that mode. Where the guru has to understand the students and where they're coming from, have a lot of compassion. The students will not listen. Many times the students will do all the bad things, negative things. So the guru has to put in a lot of compassion and conviction, not just compassion. Compassion means today I'm feeling very kind and I want to do something. Tomorrow I'm like, I'm done with you. That is, so it has to be compassion and conviction that I need to also invest in myself and I need to invest in you until we have reached the goal, not giving up. So, and when the guru realizes that they are able to have the conviction, that is what motivates them. Because I can tell you that the guru is practicing selfless service. So first of all, because they are practicing selfless service, there is no room for demotivation, because demotivation comes when the guru, somebody is expecting something that is not happening, then I'm demotivated, right? So the gurus usually don't have that problem. I mean, the gurus who are actually trying to grow on the spiritual path. But the compassion and love that the guru has for the student, that ensures that whatever motivation they have remains strong and continues to grow. That is all they need. They just need to see themselves having that conviction. And I can tell you, Krishna has said that God actively helps and supports sincere gurus. And such gurus themselves go through various spiritual experiences. I can tell you, I'm not a Jagat Guru or I'm not like a saint. I've never claimed to be a saint or anything. But I can tell you, even an insignificant little teacher like me, I can tell you that even I go through some spiritual experiences. I can tell you that I feel many times that God wants me on this path. And those experiences, God takes care of keeping me motivated, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, so you have to, it's the guru who takes you to the gate of liberation or the final liberation.
Yeah. They pretty much, they hold your hand and take you there. If you come till there, then Krishna says, I'll take care of you. I will open the gate. You need to understand that it's only Krishna who can open the gate, and the Guru can hold my hands and take me till the gate.
Fine. Fair enough. Thank you. And then was last one. When we give up our ego and pride and our humble, nice and compassionate, I think you answered, and people take advantage. How do we deal with this? I mean, you've already answered this, but
Yeah. So I explained this when we were discussing Shloka 27 also. If we can go back to the notes in 27, we said the key is to be assertive without being aggressive. Remember? And we also have to learn the difference between being discerning and being judgmental. See, for example, there are 2 bags of fruits in front of us. Now we smell them, we touch them, we look at the color, we look at the softness and the smell and all of that. And then we determine which one would be better for us. That is discernment. Perfectly fine. Krishna encourages discernment for spiritual growth. But let us say there are 2 bags of fruit in front of you. One of them has a label that says grown in Sri Lanka. One of them has a label that says grown in USA. And you say, Sri Lanka is some unknown country somewhere. America is such a great country. So I'm going to pick that bag. So that is judgmental. In other words, judgment is based on your own delusions, your own ideas. They are not substantiated by data, or they are not substantiated by evidence. Discernment is using your intellect to analyze. So we have to practice discernment, because everybody doesn't have good intentions. So you have to use your intuition and intellect to identify when somebody may be taking advantage of us. That is discernment. Now, being compassionate doesn't mean being naive and letting everybody exploit us. You have to be compassionate to yourself also. Don't let people exploit you. So when we say be nice, be compassionate, we are not saying become an idiot. We are not saying become senseless, become weak. That's not the point. See, Krishna keeps repeating, be strong. Okay. So even Krishna, for example, Krishna didn't tell Arjuna, be compassionate. That poor Duryodhana is asking, just give him everything. That's not what Krishna told him. Krishna said, don't have hatred. Understand that Duryodhana is on the side of adharma. That is the problem. What he gives you, what he doesn't give you is not the problem. The problem is he's not on the side of dharma. It's your job to fight, stand up and fight, be strong. Just like that, you should know what is right. You align with your dharma. You align with what is the right thing to do. Do it very assertively and deal with people with compassion. That's the kind of equation. It's a master class. We can't internalize everything and be good at it in one day. It's going to take a lot of consistent, continuous introspection, and slowly, in small ways, we have to practice it till we get better one day.
Thank you.
Most welcome. See, and I can tell you, I mean, I'm not boasting. I just want you also to feel like you can trust what I'm saying, because I'm not a sadhu baba sitting in a cave. I've been in the corporate sector for 25 years. And I've been in one of the most brutal places like IBM and Amazon. Amazon is known to be one of the most cutthroat companies out there. And now I'm in Microsoft. And I know whatever you are saying, I also live that. I see that around me. Correct? And if I'm still able to spend mental bandwidth to myself study things, prepare notes, conduct these classes, and continue to be consistent even if you don't reciprocate the right way. I mean, those things all mean that somewhere these lessons that I am teaching you have helped me. So that is why I'm saying whatever I'm saying, you can take it authoritatively that it is something that I have practiced and I know it works. Especially the part, I'll tell you, this is what one of my senior leaders taught me many years ago. I was very young and very stupid and very intense, angry young guy because I was a new immigrant and nothing was working in my favor. And I used to always be upset with people. And so he told me one thing. He said, don't assign malice to what can be experienced by ignorance. Very powerful statement. For example, somebody is honking at me and they want to overtake me. The first reaction is, what a jerk. Because I've assigned malice. I've already assigned malice that this person is intentionally doing it. This person is just jerk, right? But either that person is just ignorant or that person probably has an emergency. If I can switch my thoughts that way, 50% of my annoyances will go away. And so these are some of the teachings. I hope it all helps you. And I'm happy to keep talking about this throughout our journey. Thank you, Deepali ji.
Thank you, Guru.
Most welcome. Next is Umaji.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Guruji. I just wanted to the same. I mean, it's the same question. I think you answered in Kalpana's question that if the kusangi is a family member and we cannot avoid the association with them, so how do we deal with such a situation?
Yes. Yes, I think it's a similar question. You are very right. And the same answer. So we just have to practice compassion, and we also have to be even more consistent with our own spiritual practices. It means we have to get more stronger. We have to get so strong that it shouldn't matter if everybody else around us is a kusangi. So yeah, I think probably you are on a life journey where you are supposed to grow fast. You are supposed to progress quickly. That's the best answer I have. And I would say, please practice chanting the Lord's name in your mind constantly. It's extremely powerful. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Harer Nama, Iva Kevalam. You remember? In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he had said that.
Yes.
Kalau nasti eva, gantiranyata. So he said, that's the only way in the Kali Yuga. Because Kali Yuga, you are going to be surrounded by bad elements and negative people, negative events. That is Kali Yuga by definition. So the only way is this constant chanting of the name in your mind. You can keep doing it all the time.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Guruji, I have one more question.
Yes.
It's just like, it's my basic nature that if I see someone being ill-treated, I go and stand for that person. And it kind of backfires because jiske liye main fight karti hu, this person and the person who has actually misbehaved, they get back together. And it has happened multiple times. And it's just in my nature that I cannot see such things happening. So should I avoid being in such a situation, or should I do my job? And just let
see, there is no formula here, but there is a saying. I'm using it in a slightly different context, but there is a saying, Miya Bibi Raji to kya karega Kaji. In other words, like you said, even especially when it comes to husband and wife, they may fight and it may feel like one of them is poor and the other person is the aggressor. Never get in the middle, because tomorrow they are going to be Raji and you are going to be the Kaji. But the point is, it's good to be kind. It's good to do this. But there are two things I would like to tell you to be careful about. One is, ask yourself, is that your job? Is that your duty?
Okay.
If somebody is bullying your own son or daughter, maybe it's your job at that time to stand up.
Yeah.
If somebody is bullying a stranger, your job is a little different at that point. Because, and the second part is, sometimes you need to let people handle their own problems. Otherwise, they will never grow, because these problems are there for their growth as well. Okay. So, if you try to protect everybody all the time, when are they going to grow?
Okay, because most of the time it's my family members only, like my siblings maybe, or my in-laws side, like.
Yeah.
So
Make
basically,
see, there
yeah,
is this teaching, right? If you give a man a fish, he can eat for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he can eat every day. So use your compassion and coach them how they can stand up for themselves. I think that is a lot more effective approach than you trying to be standing up for everybody. That's not sustainable also.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They should fight their own battles.
Yeah, teach them, coach them to fight their own battles. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Guruji. Thank you.
Most welcome.
Guruji,
Next.
I had a question just in that context. What if that person who is in trouble comes and asks for your help? Then it becomes our duty to help?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, again, it all
Like
depends on what your obligations are, what your duties are, who he is fighting with. If that person is fighting with your husband and says, "Come and help me," what are you going to do? So there is no like formula here. It is you have to use your discernment on what is right, and the general concept is try to help people help themselves. That should be your first approach. Only in cases where you think it is absolutely necessary for you to be the savior, then go ahead by all means. If that is your dharma, if the situation, for example, you are a soldier and a young lady comes and tells you that the enemy is trying to kill me, yeah, by all means, go fight the enemy. This is what I have always told, not me, a lot of people have told this, like when you have children, make them strong, make them wise, make them smart, because you cannot always be protecting them. So when your children are small, sometimes let them face their battles. Don't always be behind them. Don't always try to protect them. Unless you think it is life-threatening or it is really dangerous, small little battles, small little fights, they should learn. And then coach them how to deal with the bully. Don't try to fight the bully yourself. Coach your kids how you can face the bully. That is the true development. So that's my message I have. Anyways, I think Suchita ji. Oh, it is Suchita ji next. Sorry,
Yes,
I thought.
Guruji. So, my question is, Guruji, one can attain bhakti either by association of Lord's pure devotee or directly by the Lord's mercy. So, means devotees are also in the as normal human beings for their own purification. They are here. So, how God and devotees can be same?
Okay, big question. See, definitely God and devotees, they're not the same in essence. Of course, I acknowledge but they share a unique relationship through devotion and divine service. See, pure devotees, they act as channels for God's mercy. Naraji also has said this in the previous slokas. That's why he said, go through a guru, because the guru is a pure devotee. And so this connection that they have with God, it makes them sources of divine grace. See, this is what is important. The important part is, I'll give a very crude example, correct? The chief minister's son. Won't you treat that person with a lot of respect and care? Why? Because that person themselves don't have any power. But they have a very strong relationship with someone who does. So you treat them with a lot of respect, lot of reverence, although they are just a kid. The same holds true for a devotee. The devotees, they have a better connection with God. So they become a channel for God. That is why we treat devotees with a lot of respect and reverence. It is not for the devotee, but it is for the connection they have. So in the 9th chapter, Sri Krishna has said, Tamoham sarva bhuteshu na me dveshyosti na priyah ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya mai te teshu chapyaham. I see all living beings equally, harboring neither hatred nor favoritism towards anybody. However, devotees who worship me wholeheartedly dwell within me and I dwell within them. So Krishna has given the certificate for devotees. He also said that you can serve Krishna by serving his pure devotees. Krishna has said this. That is why Naradji has said we can attain bhakti through association with satsanga. You can achieve, you can progress on bhakti. So that is the whole message. The message is, we are not saying devotees are gods. We are saying devotees have a strong connection with God, and pure devotees, they are a channel through which God's grace can reach us. So treat them like that. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, Guruji. Thank you. Guruji, one more thing. Means nowadays, it's not nowadays, it's from long. I heard this thing, means I was also forced, but somehow I didn't do that. I don't know why, but that diksha, taking diksha from Guru mantra, that is very important for worship. Is it true? Means if you are not having that mantra, you are not that pure, this type of thing. Is it true?
See, it's a sensitive topic and I don't want to antagonize anybody. If you ask my opinion, I'll tell you what my opinion is. If you ask me, is it true or not true, that is a very, it may not be right for me to say one way or other, because this has been a debate going on. Tell me something. I come from a position of just a servant of Krishna and a messenger of Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita has 700 slokas. Tell me which Guru mantra is there in 700 slokas.
Yes, that's the thing.
So Krishna has never said this needs to be done. This is how it should be done. And there are many other sages and saints also who have said the same thing. That sirf kaan mein mantra phukne se, that is all a show. See, in very olden days, there were different reasons and different purposes why people did all this. So we discussed there are two types of dharma. One is Yuga dharma and one is Sanatana dharma. Yuga dharma means dharma which is relevant for a particular time and place. Okay. See, there was a time many years ago, as they say in fairy tales, long ago, once upon a time, when mantras had a lot of power. You can say a mantra and the person in front of you can die. Or you can say a mantra and start a fire. That was a different yuga. At that time, imagine, it is like, a nuclear weapon. Imagine if somebody who doesn't have the intellect gets hold of such a weapon, it will be chaos. That is why in that yuga, they were very careful who gets what mantra. And the mantra also had to be said in secret. Do you know that even the Gayatri mantra used to be considered secret? I have gone through, because I was born to a family who believed in all of that, and I have gone through Upanayanam, I have gone through this initiation ceremony where the Guruji will whisper in my ears. And I remember giggling because I'm like, I don't know why he is whispering as if it's a secret. I already know that mantra, But that was a tradition, because there was a time when even the Gayatri mantra you couldn't say aloud. It has to be said in your ears. But today people are playing it in loudspeakers. So, in Kali Yuga at least, this need for a diksha, this need for Guru mantra, these are all not important. And at least it is not what Krishna has asked us to do. What is important is, do you have the bhava of service? Are you humble? Are you without pride? Do you have ananya bhakti? So what is the point? I mean, if you go to a guru because you think he's going to give me some secret mantra, that's itself contradictory. Are you able to look at the guru as... See, let me give you another example to make my point. I'm not trying to glorify a guru. What I'm trying to tell you is, this example I've given many times, and this is a very powerful example. Okay. You go to a temple, you have so much devotion. For what? For what is, at the end of the day, just a piece of stone. And there are people who will come and they will vouch that miracles have happened because they prayed to that piece of stone. And there are people who will say that it is just a piece of stone. You go to South India today, Lakshmiji may know this, especially Tamil Nadu. There is a lot of political reasons why there are many temples which are intentionally being dirtied, they're intentionally being destroyed. Now you should ask the question, if it is God, how is somebody able to deface it? How is somebody able to destroy God? I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? So what is the reality? What is the truth? The truth is there is no miracle in that stone. The miracle is in your bhava. When you have the feeling of devotion, God agrees to channel His grace through that piece of stone for you. If you don't have that bhava, it is just a piece of stone. You can keep 100 such stones in your house, nothing will happen. Just like that, when a guru is in front of you, there is nothing miraculous about just a guru. If you look at that guru as just a Tom, Dick or Harry, the guru will be a Tom, Dick or Harry for you. But if you have that bhava, then that bhava makes you eligible for God's grace through that guru. That is the mechanism, basically. So it is not a guru mantra in your ear that is doing the magic. It is your bhava that is doing the magic. And if you have the bhava, forget everything else. I hope that explains.
Thank you, Guruji.
Most welcome. Most welcome.
But Guruji, you have these Jain people and all, and they give Bhiksha and all. That is something different. Sorry, I'm just.
See, that is religion. So I'm not really talking. That's why I said it's sensitive topic, because they are religious beliefs. Like in Christianity, there is baptism. You have to do something. Even in Brahmins, there are some rituals that if you don't do that, they won't give you a girl if you don't have, we call it the monj. You have to have that initiation and all of that. So those are all religious things. I don't have any comments about them. Here I'm only talking about spirituality, spiritual growth and spiritual progress. For that, you don't need any diksha. You don't need any guru mantra. Lakshmi ji, I think you are next.
Yeah, Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Those who are free from I and mine are eligible to overcome Maya, and they will get the salvation, because that is the one, no? But in Hindu philosophy, Agam Brahmasmi, that is, I am Brahman. What is the difference of I in these two contests?
Good question. Good question. See, the problem is when we see our own I as different or separate from the universal I. That is the problem. So, Aham Brahmasmi basically talks about the self-realized state. So, that is why it is pretty much the conclusion of the Vedas. Is you have self-realized. And once you have self-realized, you have realized that there is only one I. So, Aham Brahmasmi basically means there is no difference between this small I and that big I. And I have to let go of this small I so that that big I can be realized. That is the true meaning of Aham Brahmasmi. When we say let go of I, we are talking about letting go of the small I. That false I, that we think I am a snowflake, I am unique, I am big. Sadhguru has a very interesting way of saying this. He says, do you know how big the galaxy is? In that galaxy, the solar system is a tiny speck of dot. And in that solar system, Earth is even a tiny, tiny speck of dot. In that Earth, this city, and then in this city, this particular, ashram, it's all so much tiny, tiny, tiny. But within this ashram, there is one person. He is a big person. So Aham Brahmasmi is the opposite. So when Naradji also says, free from I and mine, you have to be free from this illusion that this my I is separate and somehow very significant. What is necessary is to let go of that and then merge with the big I. So Aham Brahmasmi says that I is the I, the only I. So I hope
Krishna.
Yes. Hope that makes sense.
Okay. Krishna. I mean that Krishna.
Yes.
Who is dwells in your heart.
Yes. Everywhere. Krishna is in your heart. Krishna is everywhere.
This I is ego.
This I is illusion. Is Maya.
Illusion. Maya. Okay.
That is the I. So we also discussed that earlier, right? Whatever is changing is asat. What doesn't change is sat. And God is sat. Are you the same Lakshmi who the world knew 40 years ago? There is not a single cell in your body which is the same. So then
It's
how
changing.
can... Definitely. So that means you are asat.
Yeah.
Like I am asat. I am changing, right? So then where is that I coming from then? Why so much importance to that I? Because it is asat. So, but you cannot see the sat as long as you are holding on to the asat. That is all Naradji is asking us. He's saying, let go of this I. And the day you can say that I means a tiny part of God, that is I. I doesn't mean Tulata or Deepa or Lakshmi or Vinayak or Krishna Dasa or nothing. I means Krishna. I means God. Not that I am God. It basically means that is the only I. I am nothing. This I is nothing. If you have that, that is Aham Brahma. It's a very profound state to be in, actually. Remember Kabir Das Doha, Kabirji, where he said, जब मैं था तब हरि नहीं, अब हरि है तो मैं नहीं. प्रेम गली अति सांकरी, जामे दो न समाये. So it's like when I was there, God was not there. When God is there, I am not there. Because the path to divine love is very narrow. It doesn't have room for two eyes. So he said it very poetically. All he's saying is, there is only one. Even in Christianity, there is a saying that the path to heaven is more narrow than the eye of a needle. But we have so much baggage. Can we go anyway? Sulataji, sorry, you were saying something and I stopped you.
You had given an example of river which flows and merges ultimately to the sea.
Correct.
So the river should not be thinking that it's going to lose its identity, but rather it thinks that
the false identity. It is going to lose the false identity that it is a tiny piece of river. Its true identity is it is actually the ocean. Yes. That is. So as long as it keeps holding on to its identity of a river, it will never become the ocean. That's the message. So Hare Krishna. I think Chitraji, you are next.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you.
Most welcome.
Yes, just one second. Yeah, it's a little long question, Prabhuji. Performing duties with detachment and identifying duties that are aligned with one's inner nature. It's understood that is good for finding a profession or one's work role as a source of income, if that's how you can define it. But what about the duties that are added to us in this birth by default as a human being? And how do I prioritize among these duties?
Got it. So how do you prioritize? Yeah, I understand. So see, performing duties with detachment is required for all our duties. No matter what duty it is, detachment is required for all of them. The problem is with attachment. The problem is not with the duty. So we have to always practice detachment no matter what duties we are having to do. And with regards to prioritization, we learned the concept of apara dharma and para dharma. Correct? Material duties and spiritual duties. As our ultimate goal is spiritual growth, leading to God realization, we have to prioritize spiritual duties always, as far as possible, whenever possible. What are spiritual duties? Ananya Bhakti and service to God and service to Guru and service to humanity. These are all part of your para dharma. And so given a choice, if you are able to have a choice, prioritize para dharma. Prioritize the duties that align with the spiritual duties. That is all I can say. I hope this is sufficient for now. Maybe let us go with your next question, and that will also maybe lead to this. You have
Yes.
posted one more question here. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, another follow-up question to the one above. Duty should be aligned with inner nature. By saying this, is Krishna guiding us to accept all the existing duties and align them with our inner nature and come to peace with it? Or is Krishna guiding us to shed the duties that are not in alignment with our inner nature?
Yeah. See, as far as possible, we should align our duties based upon our inner nature. That should be our first priority wherever possible. If we are able to pick what we want to do in life, we have to try and align that with our inner nature.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's something we should do. That is specifically true for apara dharma or material duties. That is very specifically true for that you align it with your inner nature. Because otherwise it will become a big distraction and it will take away your mental peace and you will not be able to focus on your paradharma. Now, if that is not possible, if you didn't have the choice to pick your own duty, then yes, then the next best course of action would be to accept the duties that have come your way. Acceptance is the key. The great Saint Rumi has also said, he says, when you accept the troubles given to you, the doors will open. Because if we can't, you either choose what you want. If you cannot do that, then accept what you have. These are the two things that we have to follow, because this kind of acceptance becomes the key. Otherwise, what will happen is your mind will always be in conflict, and a mind which is in conflict cannot progress spiritually. See, take this from Krishna, who said to Arjuna, Shitoshna Sukha Dukkha, handle them with samatvam. Today you like what you are doing, don't jump in joy. Tomorrow you don't like what you are doing, don't sulk and fall. Maintain equanimity, and that equanimity will come if we keep telling ourselves that acceptance is the key. God has sent this my way. See, if you know, I'll tell you something. This may be very helpful to you. It has been helpful to me. When you face a situation that you think is not in your control, but the situation is still there, accept it as a prasad from God, that it has come to you to make you a better person. It has come to you to purify you. If you can develop that bhava, life becomes much easier and our progress becomes much faster. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I think we can take one last question. I don't know who asked this question. There is a question posted here that says, people who don't have any knowledge of God nor have a mindset of devotion that the super soul is always there, how can they progress on this bhakti bhava? Whose question was that?
Yeah, it's mine.
It's yours? Okay, okay. See, the first step is willingness to learn and know about God. Very important. See, we cannot force this onto anybody. We studied that in Bhagavad Gita. We can't force. Once the willingness is there, then we should direct them to a spiritual teacher. And we should also encourage such people to participate in satsang. This is the best thing we can do for people who we care and who we think need to be on the spiritual path. Encourage them to be in satsang. You can be one of their satsang and encourage them to be more and more in satsang. Because the association of devotees itself has to kindle the fire of devotion. It has to happen. It's the law of the universe that says that if you are in the company of devotees, devotion will come to you. And the other thing is we can follow what Krishna taught in the Bhagavad Gita. Like if we desire to bring other people onto the spiritual path, it's a great desire. It's a great service to God. Krishna himself has said that one of the best service you can do is help people come on the path. If that is your desire, the best way is lead by example. That's exactly what Krishna taught us in the Bhagavad Gita. So you practice detachment. You practice compassion. You practice humility. And all the qualities explained by Sri Krishna as well as Naradji, which are required to grow on the spiritual path. See, I'm asking you to practice compassion, but imagine I'm all the time getting mad at you. No, that is not going to stick. So, if you see me being compassionate, if you see me being forgiving, if you see me being calm, that has to inspire you, or that has to make you believe that, yes, this is the way, and that is the way you can bring people onto the spiritual path. Especially our family members or friends who are not on the right path.
I had this question in context with a lot of work colleagues, few friends who don't know anything about the concept of Krishna, or any knowledge about past karmas, present karmas, samatvam. But yes, I do practice all the virtues that Prabhuji you just talked about, and that is helping me to guide them towards the path of spirituality. But like connecting with the nature, connecting with your inner self, in a language that they can understand. So by doing this, am I doing the right thing? Because they have no knowledge about Krishna. So for me to bring an Indian god to them, it's I don't know what word to use. It's futile.
I get it. I get it. I totally understand. So, see, the point is, it's not important whether you talk about Krishna. What is important is you talk about Krishna's teachings. And
right. Yes.
Because they can look at Krishna through any name, they can reach Krishna through any form. That's okay. And the thing to keep in mind is Krishna himself has said in the Bhagavad Gita that unsolicited knowledge is not permitted in Vedanta. In other words, people have to be ready. People have to have the willingness. That is important. So only identify such people and then start talking about spirituality to them. It's not your job to make an unwilling person willing.
Yeah.
Okay, that will be the job of some religious teacher. So that's the point. But once somebody is willing, I think focus on the teachings, and eventually they will come to the teacher. Eventually they'll themselves develop this curiosity on whose teachings are these, and then they will automatically come to the teacher. That is the fundamental difference between our Sanatana Dharma and the different types of other types of Dharma. In other types of Dharma, people try to force, they try to push. They will say, this is the way, and you have to, otherwise you are no good. But in ours, it's always bottoms up. We focus all the time on the teachings, and then people take interest in the teachings, and then they are curious and they want to know who the teacher is, and then they progress that way. And that is more long lasting. I hope that answers. Thank you for all the wonderful questions. Really appreciate that. Hare Krishna, I think these questions are wonderful. If you have any more questions, you can share it offline with me.
Prabhuji, there is one more question that for some reason it did not get posted, but I just saw. So that is the last question. Okay?
Yeah. Let me check. What is the question? Can you please explain to me?
Yeah, is helping everyone's ultimate dharma as a human being than for any other species born on earth, and ultimately becoming Sevanandi?
Yeah. See, Naradji looks at Sevanandis very favorably. Naradji says that if you yourself are growing on the path, and if you yourself are getting spiritual progress and self-realization, then don't keep it to yourself. Please go and spread the knowledge. Help others also. That is positively saying. Whether that is the ultimate dharma is definitely aligning everybody towards God. Definitely. Humans and animals, I think only humans can use their discernment and see, I'll tell you, self-realization happens when you have an aspect of love, divine love. And when is love important? Or when is love? Okay, I'll tell you something. I have written a computer program. And that computer program, if you click that button, you have to first say your name. You have to say Deepali, and you have to click the button. The program will say, I love you, Deepali. Or, Simran can say Simran and hit the button. The program will say, I love you, Simran. Now, what joy is Simran or Deepali getting out of this? Yeah, they may find it funny. They may find it. But after 2 or 3 times, they're going to get annoyed. No, it keeps saying, I love you. Simran. Why? Because that is what the program is written to do. The program cannot do anything else. Right? But if your son or daughter or husband or sister or anybody comes to you and says, I love you, Deepali, or I love you, Simran, or I love you, Mama, that gives you joy. Why? Because they had a choice not to say that. They had a choice not to love you. And they used their free will to love. That is why Krishna also says, that is the only thing you can give God. What else does God not have? Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. What can you give God that He doesn't have? The only thing you can give God is this love using your own free will. Now, unfortunately, animals don't have that free will. Animals are very compulsive by nature. That is why you cannot train a lion to eat grass. You cannot tell the lion, hey, that is good for spiritual development. It's not going to happen. They are driven by compulsions. So only if you can have free will, then can you get onto this path of divine love and have self-realization. And because only human beings have that free will, that is why we say that only humans. It's not because we think humans are somehow very superior. That's not the point. The point is, it is the design of Prakriti. Prakriti has designed that only human beings have free will, and you need free will to express love. So I hope that answers your question, Chitraji. So with that, we have concluded section 3 of the Bhakti Sutra. So I think that's really grateful to all of you for that. Now, it's your choice. Do you want to start the 4th section today, or do you want to start the 4th section in the next session?
Next.
Okay. So next session, we will start with the 4th session then.
Yeah.
Yes. Vinayak,
So-
I want to say something.
Sure.
Guruji.
Before that, I want to request everybody that I know that I've tried to give answers that are a little concise, keeping time constraint into mind. But if any of you are still not fully satisfied, engage with me. You can share in the WhatsApp group, and don't rest until your doubts are cleared. And I will support you to my full abilities. Thank you. Poonamji, you were saying something?
Yeah. Actually, sorry, I did not ask any question, but most of the questions which were asked and the answers what you have given, I have got my answers to my queries, whatever I had.
Thank you.
Because my questions are very personal. So I'll discuss with you separately.
Sure.
But most of the queries are removed today. You have answered very well. And congratulations to all the my satsang mandlis, whatever members, friends. The questions you have asked. Thank you very much.